Jenny at the Orcas Public Library again, and I have another book for you. This book today is called Milo Imagines the World, and it's written by Matt de la Pena, one of my favorite authors, and Christian Robinson, who's also one of my favorite illustrators and authors. This book, wow, is so new, it doesn't even have a covering on it. Doesn't even have anything on the spine. We're going to get this covered and have it available for you soon, but today I'm going to read it and see what you think. And this book is published by Putnam Books, so we're going to thank them for letting us read it today in quarantine. There's some art supplies. Oh, and there is some art. And if we look here, we can see, looks like Milo is going down into the subway. I don't know how many of you have ever gone to a subway before, often in big cities like New York City. But if you did, it might look an awful lot like this. What begins as a slow, distant glow grows and grows into a tired train that clatters down the tracks. A cool rush of wind quiets into a screech of steel. And when the doors slide open, Milo slips aboard. The train bucks back into motion as he and his sister squeeze on to bench seats. The whiskered man beside Milo has a face of concentration, and a businessman has a blank, lonely face. The wedding-dressed woman near the far door has a face made out of light, while the dog peeking out of her handbag has no face at all, just a long, lolling tongue. These monthly Sunday subway rides are never ending, and as usual, Milo is a shook-up soda. Excitement stacked on top of worry, on top of confusion, on top of love. To keep himself from bursting, he studies the faces around him and makes pictures of their lives. At a downtown local stop, the whiskered man folds up his crossword and hurries off the train. Milo imagines trudging through brown mounds of slush. It's a 5-flight climb to his clattered apartment where he's greeted by mewing cats and burrowing rats. Parakeets tweet songs of longing as the man sips tepid soup. That's not very warm soup. Hunched over a game of solitaire. Late that night, the door to the parakeet cage mysteriously falls open, and the cats gather on the cold sill to watch the birds fly free above the city. Milo tugs his sister's sleeve and holds up his picture, but even when she turns to look, he can tell she doesn't see. She's a shook-up soda, too. A boy in a suit boards the train with his dad. His hair is a perfect part, and there's not a single scuff on his bright white Nikes. Milo imagines the clop, clop, clop of the horse-drawn carriage that will carry him to his castle. Imagines the clink, clink, clink of the guard slowly lowering the drawbridge. Across the human-made moat, the boy is met by a butler, 2 maids, and a gourmet chef, offering crust-free sandwich squares. Milo flips to a fresh page at a bustling midtown stop, and when the wedding-dressed woman strides off the train, a band of street performers launch into "Here Comes the Bride," and everyone on the platform stops and cheers. Milo imagines the grand cathedral ceremony where the couple will be pronounced husband and wife. Imagines the groom whisking his new bride to an awaited hot air balloon where the pilot leads them in and loads them in with blankets and blasts the heat. And up they go, hand in hand, beyond the concrete walls of the city into the infinite blue. Milo holds up the picture too, but his sister shoos him away. "Can't you see I'm playing my game?" He watches her thumbs bang across her smudge screen, then turn back to the boy in the suit. They lock eyes for a few long seconds, and suddenly it feels like the walls are closing in around Milo. The spell is broken when a crew of breakers bounds onto the train announcing, "You all ready for a show?" Several curious facers look up from the beat as the beat drops, and now the girls are walking up walls, they're whirling around poles, they're backflipping over shopping bags, and when the train pulls into the next stop, they collect a few dollars and scramble for another car. Milo imagines them going from train to train, doing their act as everyone watches. But even after the performances are over, faces still follow their every move when they walk down the electronics aisle at the department store. When they cross into the fancy neighborhood, Milo doesn't really like this picture, so he puts away his pad and turns to his reflection in the window. What do people imagine about his face? Can they hear his mom's soothing voice reading him a bedtime book over the phone? Can they see him reciting his volcano poem to the class? Can they smell the Chile Colorado bubbling in a pot in his auntie's apartment near the cemetery? Butterflies flood Milo's stomach. When it's finally their stop, he follows his sister onto the cold station platform and up the stairs. Above ground, he's surprised to see the boy in the suit a few paces ahead of him. He's even more surprised when the boy joins the long line to pass through the metal detector. Milo's sister suddenly bends to give him a hug. "I didn't mean to snap at you," she says. She takes his hand, adding, "You have your picture ready?" He nods, feeling the warmth of her fingers. And as they slowly shuffle forward, Milo studies the boy in his suit, his dad rubbing his thin shoulders, and a thought occurs to him. Well, maybe you can't really know anyone just by looking at their faces. And Milo tries to reimagine all the pictures he made on the train. Maybe he could have done it like this instead. Or this. Or this. And that guard is saying, "Welcome home." Milo's chest fills with excitement When he spots his mom through the crowd, his sister rushes to give him a hug before pulling Milo in too. And it's in this tight tangle of familiar arms that he feels most alive. And when they separate, Milo flips through his pad until he finds the right picture. I made it for you, he says, holding it up, and he watches for the smile he hopes will spread across his mom's face. Did she smile? I think so. Oh, and there's Milo's picture. Would you smile too if you had that picture? I think so. That was a good one. A little bit more. I hope you like that one. That's a very new book. I like how he talked about his stomach felt like a soda all shaken up, or butterflies in his stomach. And then in the end, when he saw his mom, I don't remember him feeling that same way anymore. No. I thought that was a good one. So I thought, we have lots of other stories, and maybe I'll pull another Christian Robinson book out that's here. Well, this one he illustrated, but it's written by Adam Rex. And this book is called School's First Day of School. Because I thought, well, there's probably a lot of kids going back to school right now. And it'd be interesting to know what a school would think about being a school. And this book is published by Roaring Book Press, so we'll thank them for letting us read it in quarantine. And then we see what's going on with that school. Looks like they might be building it. That summer, they dug up the big field and poured the foundation and set brick on top of brick until they built a school. A sign above the door read, Frederick Douglass Elementary. That's a good name for me, thought the school. Looks like he's happy, doesn't he? Yeah. Most days, a man named Janitor came to mop the school and buff his floors and wash his windows. This is nice, the school said to Janitor. Just the two of us. Won't be just us for long, said Janitor. Soon the teachers will come, and then you'll be filled with children. The school creaked. Children? All kinds of children. They'll come to play games and to learn. Oh, said the school. Will you be here too? You'll see me after the school day's over, said Janitor. Don't worry, you'll like the children. But the school thought the janitor was probably wrong about that. Then they came, the children did, and there were more of them than the school could possibly have imagined. They got everywhere. They opened and closed all of his doors and lockers and drank water from his fountain and played on his jungle gym. So that's what that's for, thought the school. Some of the older kids gathered by the school's back fence and showed each other their bored faces. This place stinks, said one, and the school gasped. I hate school, said another with puffy hair, to the agreement of his friends. The school sagged a little. One very small girl with freckles didn't want to come inside the school at all. Her mother had to carry her. It must be awful, the school whispered to himself. Later, he squirted the puffy-haired kid in the face and then felt bad about it afterwards. He watched the kindergarten kid sit on one of his rugs. The teacher said, "As we go around the circle, please tell us your name." There was an Aiden, and a Max, and Bella, and Chloe, and a Caden, and Emma, and another Aiden. The small girl with freckles was next, but she couldn't speak. She only stared at her shoes until the teacher moved on. "I don't like school," she whispered in her lap. "Well," thought the school, "maybe it doesn't like you either." The children were in their chairs finally, but just as the school was starting to relax, his fire alarm sounded, and all the children exited and walked to the other side of the field and stared at him. He was so embarrassed. He held his doors open for them when they returned. "Sorry," he said. As the first child entered, "Sorry, sorry, sorry," he told them all, even the girl with the freckles. At 12 o'clock, the school was filled with food. At 12:30, the school was filled with garbage. At one table, a boy told a funny joke, and another boy laughed so hard that milk came out of his nose. "Now I'm covered with nose milk," thought the school. He had to admit that it was a pretty funny joke, though. Even the girl with freckles liked it. Yeah, there she is. After lunch, the kindergarten kids learned about shapes. "A rectangle has 4 sides," said the teacher. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a square has 4 sides too. In fact, a square is a special kind of a rectangle. "Wow," said the school. "I did not know that." Afterward, the children made pictures with glitter and paste. The girl with freckles made a picture of the school. "It looks just like me," thought the school, "except glittery. It's like she's known me all of my life." "Do you think I could have your picture?" the teacher asked her. "Don't tell anyone, but I think it's the best." The school thought she was probably right about that. The freckled girl smiled, and when the teacher stuck her drawing onto the school wall with a pushpin. "Ouch," said the school, but he didn't mind. Not really. At 3 o'clock, the parents came to pick up the children, and at 3:30, janitor came to pick up the school. "I was full of kids," the school told him, "and I heard a joke, and I accidentally had a fire drill, but everyone was nice about it, and I listened to a classroom, and I learned about shapes." "You had a big day," said janitor. The school said, "Do you think you could invite everyone to come back tomorrow, especially that little freckled girl?" Janitor nodded. "I'll see what I can do." Later, janitor sat on top of the school and they watched the sun go down. "In the beginning, I didn't know what I was," said the school. "I thought I was your home." "Nope," said janitor. "I suppose some other place gets to be your home," the school added. Janitor nodded. "That's true, but you get to be a school, and that's lucky." And the school thought he was probably right about that. Yeah. And there they're all playing. I don't know if you've ever thought about your school or maybe even your house like that. That's a new way of looking at things. I like that new way. Just like Milo. Milo had different ways of looking at things. And maybe that's something you could do too if you draw or just even think about something. if you think about it and you think again, what would it be like if I did it differently or if I thought it differently? I think that's a good book for that reason. We'll have this one ready at the library very soon if you're interested. And this one's ready too for you to pick them up. I hope you like those books, and looks like our lights went out, which means, well, we might be done here, but we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.